It was very quiet in the courtroom as the video played. The rough video showed more than words could ever say. Within seconds, Jessie and Delilah, Diddy's twin daughters, got up from their chairs, looked shaky and stormed out without saying a word. Even though there were no cameras around, reports said they looked pale and ashamed. The video wasn't just disturbing, it was also very bad, and it had a name. Stop being crazy. Cassie Ventura used a word to describe the worst part of her relationship with Sean Diddy Combs. What started as whispers and rumors has turned into interviews with the federal government, hard proof, and angry people in the gallery. It's no longer just a story involving famous people. There will be a legal reckoning. Text messages with threats and shocking spying are being shown in the Diddy trial, which is breaking decades of silence. Now his own family can't stand to see it. What's about to come out could change the way you always think about him. Everyone in the courtroom knew something important was going to happen when the lights went down and the prosecutor asked for everyone's attention. But no one was ready for what came next. The judge agreed to show the jury a piece of proof that Long had talked about behind closed doors but never confirmed in public. A movie with the title Freak Off 2013, location, Miami penthouse. The prosecutors had warned about what it contained, and the defense lawyers did everything they could to stop it from being shown. As it turned out, the judge agreed with the story. The courtroom was told to have a partial blackout. All the cameras were turned off. The jury, lawyers, Diddy, and a small group of people, including Diddy's family, were the only ones who were able to watch. Since Cassie Ventura was the main witness for the prosecution, she was sitting quietly near the jury box when the video started. She didn't move. Diddy's stance, on the other hand, changed right away. The pride of the past days was gone. He slouched a little and looked at the screen with his eyes fixed on it. His girls, Jessie and Delilah, got up around the middle of the video. Witnesses say one of them said, "No, I can't," and then left. Their faces were hard, blank, and broken. Reporters outside the building caught them leaving with security guards and aides following closely behind. They refused to say anything. The court papers didn't go into full detail about the video, but they did summarize the most important parts. Cassie showed up with someone who wasn't named in what prosecutors called a planned and orchestrated event. People say they can hear Diddy's voice giving directions from behind the camera. Even though a lot of the video is blurred or edited, it was clear that it had an emotional effect. A number of members looked clearly upset. One was said to have wiped her tears away. Another person stared straight ahead with their jaw tight. It wasn't just sexy material, it was proof. There was proof of power, psychological dominance, and most importantly, Cassie wasn't making things up. The video's timing, her age, and the way it was set up, like a production, all fit what she had said before. The room stayed quiet as the screen went black. Not a mutter or a whisper. There was only the sound of the judge telling the court to take a 15-minute break. It was clear right away that this would not be easy for Cassie or anyone else in the room when she took the stand. 8 months pregnant, she walked in calmly, putting her coat behind her and turning a little to face the judges. During her statement, she often did something subtle but symbolic. She rubbed her stomach. While talking about a painful past, she wasn't just reliving it, she was also guarding a new one. She told the judge about the first time Diddy used the word freak off. She said she was 21 but didn't know what that meant. He told her it was voyeurism and that it would make their relationship stronger. At first it was sweet, but soon it became controlling. He told her what to do, what to say, and what drugs to take. She sent and received texts from his Louis Vuitton bag. "What color pill?" "In one," she asked him. He said the green one. Cassie said in court that freak-offs didn't happen by themselves. Could be. They practiced, planned, and had a choreography. The clothes, the lights where the cameras were placed, and most disturbingly, the people who were taking part. Many of them, she said, were prostitutes that she hired because she was afraid of what would happen if she said no. "I did it since I loved him. I did this because I didn't want to annoy him. Because I felt like I couldn't say no any longer," she told the judge. She said she felt useless during those years when asked about her feelings. She said, "There were times when I would look in the mirror and not know who I had become." She didn't answer right away when the prosecutor asked her directly if she ever wanted to be a part of the freak-offs. Sometimes yes, because I could spend time with him, but I didn't want the rest of it. Not the stress or the fear. At the same time, Diddy was breaking down. Several people in the courtroom said he started writing on a yellow pad of paper while shaking his leg under the table. At one point, he pointed at Cassie and leaned over to his lawyer to say something. He had a pale face. The same man who was once called the life of the party looked like he had just been given a sentence. The defense tried to say that everyone agreed to this. According to them, Cassie liked the connection, helped hire other people, and never said no. The defense, on the other hand, asked, what happens to a woman who knows what saying no could cost her? Cassie's scary statement was being looked over by the jury, and Diddy's family stayed calm until they couldn't. Janet Combs, his mother, was sitting with her eyes closed and holding a rosary. His two boys, King and Justin, didn't look at their dad. They looked ahead with their arms crossed and sometimes looked to see how the jury was reacting. His 17-year-old daughters, Jessie and Delilah, seemed especially upset. In the past, they had kept a calm presence until now, but seeing that tape and the truth it showed broke something. People started to wonder if more family secrets were going to be revealed after they left. The prosecution gave it a hint by asking about Kim Porter. Diddy told Cassie not to tell anyone about their relationship because it would hurt Kim and his kids. She said, But Cassie also said that Diddy's friendship with Kim was different from hers. It had been a while since we were seen together, but he was still with Kim. We both knew, he told us both, and that's where things got even worse. Cassie talked about a time when Kim told Diddy to change how he was acting. After a week, she was taken to the hospital. I shouldn't say anything, he told me. He told her she was okay. But when Kim Porter died many years later, it made people wonder even more. It was said that she died of asthma, but a lot of people, like Al B. Yes, Kim's ex-boyfriend and Quincy's dad think that her death should be looked at again. In court, the lawyers showed texts in which Cassie said she was afraid of becoming like Kim. She said it was because she knew too much when asked why. She knew, and he knew she knew. When Cassie gave her next piece of evidence, it broke down the structure behind the so-called freak-offs. The courtroom became quiet again. It was more than just Diddy. Cassie said that there was a full system of help in place. She said names. There are many assistants, travel agents, private security companies, and David James and Christina Kororum. They did more than just watch. It was their job to help make it happen, she said. She said that Diddy had been following her, which was one of the worst parts of her story. He didn't live far away, but he'd send someone if I didn't answer. Security sometimes, Christina other times. Someone would be at my door in an hour if I didn't text back. That claim shocked the court because it proved something that the lawyers had hinted at in their opening statements. That Diddy's reach wasn't just play on people's emotions. It was control at the level of monitoring. She said Diddy could see her private texts, her location, and her phone calls. She once asked a friend to come over, but the friend never showed up. He told me to tell her to stop. I didn't ask how. The judge asked her if she was afraid for her safety. Cassie didn't think twice. She said, "Every day, but I also feared for hers." People said that Diddy's alleged method wasn't just random excess, but planned machinery. There were travel papers, fake bookings, and ads for escorts. He would sometimes say they were new artists or dancers. They would do anything to get on an airplane, as Cassie put it. The trips took them from one place to another, as well as New York, Ibiza, Miami, and Los Angeles. The place changes each time, but the event stays the same. The lights, the drugs, the clothes, and the scene. As she talked about how these sessions last 36 to 72 hours, with the longest one lasting 4 full days, everyone in the courtroom was glued to their places. She didn't sleep. All she did was take pills, follow the directions, and wait for him to tell her to stop. It was very rare for the warning to come early. The prosecutors said that this group of people who helped the crime happen was exactly what racketeering is. It wasn't just about one man and his habits. It was a business-like plan to trick, trap, and get money from people. The list of possible witnesses got longer as Cassie gave more names. The proof went from logistics to psychology. At this point, the jury started to see that Diddy had a tighter and more complicated hold on Cassie. It wasn't just bullying, it was a war of feelings. Everyone in the room felt tense after Cassie said something. I loved him. It was said softly, but it hurt a lot. I loved him the way you love someone who helps you even if they hurt you. She talked about how Diddy could be kind, generous, and nice at the beginning of their relationship. He was supposed to make me feel like I was the only person who mattered. That love wasn't perfect, though. It cost her emotional cash to do things like follow the rules, take part, or be quiet in order to keep that feeling going. It seemed like drugs to her. The prize was love. They were hurt by fear. The prosecution mostly looked at the texts Cassie sent to Diddy during those years. The texts were sweet and even happy. The defense used these as proof of a shared interest in the end, but Cassie explained them. She told the judge that she spoke up because she felt safe doing so. It wasn't always about the act. Sometimes it was just about getting through the moment. One time stood out. Cassie talked about sending an email to try to get out of a freak-off one time. She wanted to talk about how uncomfortable she was in a soft way. She heard him say, "I know you don't want to do it." She didn't stay strong. Instead, she changed her mind. The woman told the judge, "I was afraid he would cut me off. I told them that wasn't it. I lied, because it would have made him mad to tell the truth." This was heard by the judges, fully fixed. Some of the jurors were seen slowly nodding, which could mean they could connect to Cassie's story about loving someone who hurts you and not being able to decide whether to be close or safe. The only time her voice broke during this part of her evidence was when the prosecutor asked, "Did you ever enjoy it?" The court was shocked by Cassie's answer because it meant she would have time with him. "I didn't like what we did, but I loved him," which made everything hard to understand. The people in the courtroom knew by now that Cassie's case wasn't the only one. Something darker came back to it. The prosecution linked the crimes to Kim Porter, Diddy's longtime ex-wife and the mother of his children. Cassie was asked straight out if she ever thought her life was in danger. What did she say, especially after what happened with Kim? She said Diddy kept some things from her. He only said she was sick and wouldn't talk about her last days. But I no longer believe that. The court was told that Kim Porter died in 2018 and was found. The official cause of her death was pneumonia, but many people, including Porter's ex-husband and Quincy's real father, have said in public that they think the death should be looked into again. Cassie said in court that she was fine one day and gone the next. To make things even stranger, Cassie said she was told to be quiet after Porter's death. Someone was looking, so he told me not to talk to anyone. He told me to stay out of it. The prosecutors then showed a string of texts that Cassie had with a friend in which she said, "If I ever disappear like Kim, it won't be for no reason." Then there was what was probably the scariest part. The police asked Cassie if she thought her story could have finished the same way Kim's did. Cassie was unsure. She finally said, "That's why I left. That's why I'm here." The emotional weight in the courtroom was high. Cassie was scared because of something that happened in the past. It was related to someone else who was also shut up too soon and in a way that wasn't clear. The judge set up another break. A number of jurors stayed sitting with their heads down. Did he? It was still dark and quiet, and he felt trapped by both the police and the ghosts of his past. The third day of Cassie's evidence was already very tense, but when the judge made a decision that shook the room, things really heated up. After the defense made strong protests, the court let the jury see a short clip of a recorded freak-off video. It was said that Diddy took the video, put it on a secret hard drive, and Cassie later found it before she broke up with him for good. There were no cameras allowed in the courtroom, but people who were there said it felt very spooky when the lights went down and the screen came on. People in the gallery leaned forward. Even the sketch artist for the court stopped what he was doing. As soon as the video started to play, people started to respond. A number of people in the room turned their heads away. A judge put her hand over her mouth. What made the most exciting moment happen was when Diddy's twin girls, Jessie and Delilah, stood up and left the courtroom while sitting quietly next to their grandmother Janice. People who saw them said they looked shocked, with wide eyes and shaking lips. They didn't come back. Many people thought the tape would be more explicit, but what it really showed was the control and the silence. Cassie looked tense in the video, her eyes moving back and forth between the camera and the director behind it who she couldn't see. She looked like she was in pain, and her moves seemed robotic, like she was doing something she didn't want to do. When the video was over, The prosecution asked Cassie to describe what the jurors had seen. She said it was the first time I was able to handle it and cried in front of him after a freakout. He still picked up the camera. Her voice shook, but it didn't break. The defense kept objecting, saying that the video didn't show what was going on and that it was voluntary. It was too late, though. The harm was done. When put together with Cassie's explanation and the previous testimony, the picture painted a strong picture not only of abuse but also of routine, of something practiced and planned. A juror said in a whisper, "That's all I needed." You could feel it at that very moment. It wasn't just Cassie's words anymore in this trial. It now had a face, a movie, and a room full of people who couldn't say they didn't see it. Cassie got a warning at the end of her last day on the stand. There are more of us now, and that warning hit home right away. Before the next court date, the prosecutors had learned that more former workers, including drivers, assistants, and even a hairstylist, were ready to tell their stories. Prosecutors didn't waste any time. A guy named Israel Flores, who used to work as a hotel security guard, testified about what happened at the Los Angeles Intercontinental Hotel, which supported Cassie's first claim. I still recorded it, though. The evidence from his testimony added a new story to what the surveillance video from 2016 had already shown. Someone who used to work as a helper but didn't want to be named next said she was asked to bring locked briefcases across state lines. She said, "I didn't know what was in them, but it was clear what to do. Do not open. Do not ask anything." When pushed by the prosecutor, she said she thought they were carrying drugs or money. They wouldn't lock them and send me a fake phone if they didn't. But Daniel Phillip, a male bodyguard, gave the strongest proof. He said he was hired more than once in 2012 and 2013, but what began as an inside deal quickly turned into something that had to be done. It was bad for my job and license if I didn't go back, but I didn't want to. Phillip said that Diddy was in charge of the music. He watched me and told me where to go and what to do. With each new witness, Cassie's story became stronger. Even better, they showed a method that always works. People were invited, NDA was signed, and money was traded. And Diddy is always in charge. The prosecutors began to put together more than just a list of events. They were putting together evidence of a pattern, a group, and maybe even a criminal plot. It looked less like an entertainment company and more like a machine for silence with each name, tear, and reluctant memory. It was no longer possible to picture Sean Diddy Combs sitting proudly behind his defense table. The man who used to be cocky in command rooms now sat slumped, his eyes darting between the lawyers and the jury. He was clearly sweating. His carefully crafted image, which had been built up over decades of success, fame, and power, was falling apart in front of everyone. Then, during a short break, Diddy asked to talk to the judge. In real life, it was a strange moment. Even though his lawyers tried to stop him, he got up anyway. He said, "Excuse me, Your Honor, I'm a little scared." The courtroom got cold. The judge looked at it with an eyebrow raised. "Mr. Combs, you'll have time to talk to a lawyer," but that one line told the whole story. When the case started up again, the prosecutors said they were going to call a new witness. Someone who had been talked about early in the trial and in earlier conversations, but whose word was never a sure thing. Gene Deal used to be Diddy's bodyguard. The gallery gasped as soon as his name was said. Deal had been warning about Diddy's bad side for a long time. He had told stories about Kim Porter freak-offs, NDA burner phones, and security guards who kept staff quiet. He was only a voice on podcasts and YouTube until now, though. He could be called to the stand now. The defense argued right away, noting problems with hearsay and credibility. Fine credibility. But the judge let there be a break. It was clear when the court came back. Jean Deal was about to testify. The judge said, "We'll take him on Monday." Diddy put his head down. As the day came to a close, the last image wasn't Cassie's statement. It wasn't the video. Diddy stood alone and kept quiet as he watched his girls walk by without saying a word or making eye contact. He used to be in charge of everything and chose the songs we heard. The acts we liked and the parties that made the news no longer held the room. The freak-off video may have changed the story, but the legacy had already changed because the truth was coming out from former sources and his defense was now falling apart. It was no longer just a court case, it was a wreck.